And Pakistan have announced their 15-man squad for the World Cup 2019. In a press release on Thursday, the Pakistan Cricket Board named the 15 players who will represent the country in the showpiece cricket tournament, set to start from England and Wales from May 30th. Left-arm fast bowler Mohammad Amir has been excluded from the squad. Amir and Asif Ali have, however, been picked in the Pakistan squad for the limited overs series in England to be played just before the World Cup. They will therefore get a chance to earn a recall to the squad. 11 players from Pakistan's victorious 2017 ICC Champions Trophy campaign have been retained in the side. Abid Ali, Imamul Haq, Mohammad Hasnain and Shaheen Afridi are the 4 other players named in the World Cup squad. The squads for the World Cup can be changed till May 23rd without having to take special permission from the ICC. And South Africa on Thursday announced their 15-member squad for the ICC World Cup 2019 starting on May 30th in the UK. Faf du Plessis will lead a highly experienced and charged-up squad in South Africa's bid to clinch a maiden title in the World Cup. Seasoned campaigners Hashim Amla, David Miller, Dale Steyn, JP Duminy and Imran Tahir were the top picks in a highly predictable squad. However, Aiden Markram was selected for the opening spot ahead of informed batsman Reza Hendricks. South Africa will start their campaign in the World Cup 2019 against hosts England at the Kennington Oval in London on May 30th. In the history of the World Cup, South Africa have never won a title and reached the semi-finals 4 times. And well, we've got with us our guest in the studio, Anil Thomas. Anil, thank you so much for joining us. How do you look at the Pakistan announcement of the 15-member squad?
Well, Pakistan team has got that right balance of experience as well as youth. You know, remember Pakistan, everyone's talking about Mohammad Amir missing the bus. But, you know, you got to look at Pakistan side. They've got 2 experienced names there in, you know, Shoaib Malik, who's going to, the team is going to revolve around him. And many got to, you know, you got to give full credit to, you know, Shoaib Malik as well as Mohammad Hafiz for the manner in which they are going to take this team around. Mohammad Asif is surely missing, but Mohammad Asif is having, you know, I would say, you know, bad luck of form that he's had for the last 2 years. You know, he was the star bowler in that Champions Trophy, everyone knows that. But after that, he's had a lull, and I think he still has, you know, some opportunity of making it count because he's been included in that one-day team that's going to play England in England. So it's going to be a, you know, the team looks pretty balanced there on paper. But we'll have to wait and watch. Pakistan is a very unpredictable side. You know, every World Cup that they enter into, you know, nobody knows which side of the way Pakistan gets up. So you could, you know, see, you know, one evening where you could see a stupendous show from the Pakistani team, which will have an all-round blend of, you know, the bowlers doing their job, the batsmen doing everything. The very next morning, you could see, you know, when they play somebody like, you could be surprised the next morning when you see Pakistan play. It could be a different side altogether. So Pakistan comes with that, you know, ifs and buts into a World Cup. Having said that, there are 3 favorites. You know, if you look at, if you ask me for a favorite in this particular World Cup, Australia, considering the form that they have shown and the balance they have got in the team, England as host and England as the world #1 squad, #1 team in one-day cricket, along with India. There's that 4th place is very much wide open. It could come to a South Asian team, or it could go to New Zealand or a West Indies. So, you know, it's an open 4th slot for that semi-finals that, you know, all the teams are vying for. And I think Pakistan's got that balance because Pakistan has gone to England and performed in the 1999 World Cup. They did reach the final. They're losing to Australia. So they have, you know, somewhere at the back of the hand, the experience of playing there in that kind of seeming conditions, because the Pakistani bowlers do good there. And, you know, the batsmen just need to revolve around what the bowlers have done for them. So it's got to be, you know, a good contest for Pakistan. I think they have got the balance right. It's now for the team to go out there and perform. Remember, this particular World Cup has got a different format. You've got to play 9 matches there before you know, book your slot for that semi-final. And it's very similar to that 92 World Cup where, you know, every team had to play the other team. So there is no option of missing anything. But I would still say that Pakistan, I would put Pakistan in that top 4 teams that could make it to the semi-finals.
And Anil, what would you say are the things that did go in Mohammad Amir's favour?
Well, you know, Mohammad Amir has, remember 21 months ago when India played the Champions Trophy, India had never lost to Pakistan in an ICC tournament, and Mohammad Amir was that wrecker in chief. He got that top 3 wickets. If you look at that particular game, the 3 wickets that India lost, our top 3 batsmen, Shikhar Dhawan, Virat Kohli along with Rohit Sharma, all 3 were dismissed by Mohammad Amir. And Mohammad Amir after that particular tournament has been, you know, you suddenly seen him, hit a lull. If you see, he's almost gone 2 years picking just 5 wickets, bowling almost 101 overs, and every wicket that he's picked is gone for 92. That's one of the worst, 92.6 I would say. That's one of the worst performance that you could see from any bowler there who's bowling for in world cricket. The second worst is by Mark Wood, who's per wicket, his per wicket comes at around 42.6. So that clearly defines, why Mohammad Amir is missed out. And Pakistan has got an abundance of talent, just like India has got an abundance of talent when it comes to batting. Pakistan's got an abundance of talent when it comes to bowling. They've got 8 pacers there, that they had to consider. The selector had to sit and consider. But having said that, Mohammad Amir still has his door wide open. Remember, ICC's got that window till April 23rd where you can still, tinker with your side. And I think, it's not an open and shut case for Mohammad Amir. He still got his chance, but he'll have to weigh his chances here. He will have to come good in that series against England. And if he comes good, I think he would still, at least knock at the selectors to give him another chance at the World Cup, because this Pakistan side looks, in one place it looks, very much brittle. That's when it comes to the bowling department. You need some bowler. Pakistan always had one bowler on which the rest of the bowlers have, somewhere played around. In this particular side, if Mohammad Amir is out, the team lacks that balance. You don't know who's the senior bowler that the players need to look at. So, that could be a bit of a problem for the Pakistan side. But he still's got his door opens for an entry into that Pakistan side into the World Cup.
Right, Anil. Well, do you see a chance he can stage a backdoor entry, as you just mentioned?
Well, it's very much possible for him. They are playing England, and he is included in that Pakistan one-day squad. Remember, the World Cup squad is for 15 members, but the Pakistan squad that's been selected for that England tour has got 17. So he's very much a part of that particular side. If he can get going in that conditions, and if he can prove to the selectors that he's still got some firepower there left in him, maybe a wicket or two in a 10-over spell could do the trick for him. He doesn't need to come out there and impress with a 5-wicket haul. Or 2 wickets in the 2 one-days could do the trick for him and help the selector decide on including him in that squad. And I think, without Mohammad Amir in that team, Pakistan pace attack would look a bit disorganized. You've got 2 senior players in Mohammad Hafiz and Shoaib Malik there in that side, but it would still somewhere look a bit of a disjointed unit. And Pakistan, when they don't have a premier pace bowler on which the team can rally around, they generally run into problem. If you remember the 2015 World Cup, they didn't have that big names on which the team could rally around, and that was a big problem for that Pakistan side, and that's where they lost focus. If the bowlers don't have somebody to look forward to, a guiding lad that they can go to, it could be trouble for the Pakistan side, because in a crunch situation, remember, we are not playing 3 or 4 matches and looking at a quarterfinal or a semi-final. We are playing 9 matches before we reach that quarterfinal stage. So before we reach the semi-final, so it's a big ask, and I think the selectors would be very well aware of it. And Mohammad Amir has his chances. It's now for him to make it count and maybe look at, no, I wouldn't say a backdoor entry, but very much the window is there till 23rd of April, and I think the selectors will be watching Mohammad Amir very keenly when he bowls against England.
And how do you look at the South African 15-member World Cup squad? Are there any surprises, would you say?
Well, Hashim Amla, to be very frank, Hashim Amla was a big surprise. Many thought that he's done, the chapter is over. But Hashim Amla once again getting a comeback. Clearly that, AB de Villiers void, South Africa is looking at ways and means to fill that. Faf du Plessis will be a great captain to lead, but they've got some problems. If you look at their side, in totality, the South African side somewhere seems to have some problems in this particular unit that they have put together. South Africans have always been, they promised to be the giant killers, but if you look at my first answer that I gave you, I still didn't put South Africa in that top 4, where I very comfortably put Pakistan in. So South Africans are the dark horses of any tournament, and this particular tournament too, South Africans will be, many would call them the dark horse in this particular tournament too. But South Africa, Hashim Amla is the big surprise for me. And I would say that when you look at that squad, the balance is very much there for the South African. It's just for them to go out there and perform at that big stage. South Africans always have a tendency, they played 4 World Cup semi-finals, but they've never managed to, reach a final or, make it count in that big stage. So this time around, let's keep our fingers crossed. Maybe we get to see an India versus South Africa final.
Well, that could be a possibility, as you're saying, but does the Proteas team have the firepower to go the distance, and do they start as favourites?
Well, I wouldn't say they would start as favourites. If you purely look at that side on paper and the form that they come into this World Cup, I wouldn't put them as favourites in any way. They would surely be the dark horses of the tournament along with New Zealand, but they are not the favourites for this edition. The favourites are very much, as I mentioned, Australia, England, and India. India, why I would say, because India, the balance that they bring to, we won the Champions Trophy there in England. We've also lost one there. So India surely starts as a favourite, and England as hosts, they've got England and Australia have got the right balance to the team. If you see the team that's been selected for the World Cup, these are the two sides that have a right balance into going into the World Cup. So I would purely put India and England there, along India, England and Australia there in the top three. That fourth place is very much open, but South Africa doesn't fit that bill. South Africa would be my dark horse in this tournament. They have returned to the World Cup family since 1992. They have reached 4 World Cups for semi-finals, but they've never gone beyond that. They have the tendency to be chokers in crunch situation. This time around, it's a brand new side, and sometimes these kind of things help. When the favourites tag is not on the South Africans, they tend to perform better. And let's hope that this time around South Africans do better, and they go at least they go 2 steps ahead. They've reached the semi-finals. 2 steps ahead is one is winning the final, and then also celebrating that big win.
Right, and when we come to the Indian team, what would you say? What would you point out as their shortcomings, points they can work on?
Well, 3-4 points, on the onset. If you look at the Indian team, Indian batting looks very much one-dimensional. The same is with their bowling. The batting, bowling both look one-dimensional. And in a World Cup, you might have that. We've got 2-3 all-rounders there in the middle, but the balance of the team looks very one-dimensional. When I say one-dimensional, the batting looks. You've got just 2 left-handers, Shikhar Dhawan and Ravindra Jadeja, in a World Cup squad. When it comes to left-handers, and that doesn't suit the Indian team, because if Shikhar is gone in a match, we are looking at the next 10 right-handers to come there and bat in the middle. So that in that context, I would say you need to have that right-left combination there. But in world cricket, all these players are doing well, so many tend to leave that aside. That's not all. If you look at our bowling too is one-dimensional. If you look at our bowling, Mohammad Shami and Bhuvneshwar Kumar will not play a game together, but they both are a part of the team. But remember, this World Cup is about 9 games, so the selectors have been wise enough to look at a much wider canvas when it comes to selecting players, because you've got 9 games to play before you play your semi-finals and finals. So in that consideration, I would still say that this particular team looks a bit balanced. And one more big factor that I would worry, when I look at this particular Indian team, is that 4, 5, I would say 5, 6, 7 look a bit brittle for me. England is seaming conditions, the ball would be moving. We haven't seen them in this kind of conditions. You need technically sound batsmen there to come out in the middle and score those runs for us. R 5, 6, 7, I wouldn't put my bet on them that they are going to come good. They might come good in a game or two, but for them to come consistently good in 11 games is what is the difference between a good team and a team that end up in the semi-finals. My pick for this team is, we're looking very much, a team that could make it to the semi-finals. But how do we go beyond that? That's going to be the big question. And I think Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri would be having their hands full when you look at this squad and the combinations that you need to try in this World Cup for India to go the full distance.
Right, so what you're basically saying is that they have not yet managed to keep all decks covered.
True.
Picking Dinesh over Rishabh Pant, for example. Was that a surprise?
Well, very much a surprise. It's, Hosh and Josh. I would say the selectors went with some getting some Hosh into the team more than getting some Josh into the team. Rishabh Pant has been a prolific scorer. He's got 2 test hundreds against 2 test playing nations. Looks like a great run getter for the club that he plays for, Delhi, and does a good job. But Dinesh Karthik has been there for long, and Dinesh Karthik leads Kolkata side in this particular edition of IPL. And Dinesh Karthik brings a lot of stability to that squad. He's played in England before, so he knows the conditions well. That's not all. He's got experience behind him. He played the 2007 World Cup. So I think the selectors were right in going about with getting your Hosh and Josh right. So the selectors have gone with some kind of Hosh over Josh, and I think that makes a lot of sense when you look at this team, because Dinesh Karthik. You've got 9 games before the semi-final, so Dinesh Karthik is going to get a game or 2, because we'll have to give MS Dhoni some kind of rest. Look at a South African team, they don't even have a reserve keeper. So Quinton de Kock is going to play all 9 games and beyond if South Africa reach the semi-finals. So it's a right mix that the selectors have gone ahead picking a second wicket keeper in the squad. And I would say it takes some pressure off MS Dhoni. You have 1 or 2 matches which could be light matches that you could take, and I think that's where DK would come into play, and I would say it's a wise choice by the selectors going with experience, moreover somebody with a lot of exuberance there to perform on the big stage.
Right, well, Anil, thank you so much there for joining us and for all those inputs. Well, that was Anil Thomas, our sports correspondent, on the World Cup teams that have been announced.